Hello, and welcome to the Atlantic Debrief, the Atlantic Council Europe Center's new internet show and podcast on the most pressing issues impacting transatlantic relations today. My name is Rizzo, and I'm a non-resident senior fellow here at the Atlantic Council's Europe Center. My guest today is Germany's Ministry of Defense Parliamentary State Secretary Siemtje Möller, who has been serving also as a member of the Bundestag from the state of Lower Saxony since 2017. This week in German foreign and defense policy can only be described as both busy and exciting. So State Secretary Möller, welcome to the show, and a special thank you to you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today.
I'm very happy to be with you, and thanks for having me.
Thank you. On that note, I want to start by kicking us off with a question that I'm sure is on everyone's minds. Germany has a new defense minister, Boris Pistorius, after the resignation earlier this week of Christine Lambrecht. And really, all eyes have been and will continue to be on Germany. State Secretary, can you give us a sense of what this government shakeup might mean for German foreign and defense policy in the months ahead?
I know Boris Pistorius for a very long time. He comes from Lower Saxony, so do I, and I know him for several years. He served in Niedersachsen, Lower Saxony for more than 10 years as a Secretary for Interior Affairs. He knows about security forces. He knows how people are, what service means to the people serving in security forces, and I know him very well. He's a very dedicated man, and he has a warm heart for people serving. So I think that he's a very good choice as a new Secretary of Defense. He will start service by tomorrow. He will be sworn in front of the Bundestag, and then we will have him for the first time officially in the MOD, and then also most probably and hopefully my term with him starts as well. So we will start by tomorrow, and then of course we have the first very special and a great possibility to talk for him to talk to Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense of the United States. So we will start with the transatlantic partner and preparing both together, preparing for the Ramstein conference on Friday, and then he will start. Then he will go on with France on Sunday with the Élysée meetings, with the intergovernmental Élysée meetings. So we will have the transatlantic partnership and the core partnership in Europe, which is France for him. And having said this, means that we will have, I think, an outstanding Secretary of Defense, but we will have continuity in terms of the long lines of German foreign policy and defense policy, meaning that we will stand with our partners. We will have still an ongoing focus on transatlantic partnership and also European security, meaning we will have a very good minister, very good secretary, but we will go on with our role. We know the responsibility that Germany has to take over. We see the high, we accept the high expectations that the United States, but also our European friends and allies, and probably the whole world has to us. And we will go on with doing our very best to meet them.
Thank you. And I'll come back to the meeting in Ramstein in just a few minutes. But first, I wanted to start with an op-ed that you wrote with the Atlantic Council back in November while you were here in Washington. And it was on the state of Germany's Zeitenwende, or this historical turning point, as this moment has been coined by Chancellor Scholz. And the promising basically that Germany is and will continue to be a reliable defense partner for its allies. How do you assess Germany's transformation so far? How do you assess this Zeitenwende?
Well, first of all, with coining the Zeitenwende, stating that we have a huge shift with our export policies, also with exporting weapons to conflict zones, is a big thing in German foreign policy and also for the German population. We talk a lot about it. We talked a lot about it. We have a great support for Chancellor Scholz's guidance by the population. that we support Ukraine with all what we do and what we can do, what we can spare, and what is needed for by Ukrainian people, fighting that bravely against the Russian aggressor. And at the same time, of course, it's also a turning point and also a Zeitenwende, how we how we have a look on ourselves, how we see ourselves, and how we accept the role that Germany has to take in Europe, that Germany has to take in Europe and also in the world, meaning the leadership, the high expectations that we have. So it's a strong shift. We have the special fund for the Bundeswehr with the so-called Sondervermögen, because we need new material for the Bundeswehr to reach all the high expectations and to guarantee the operability of our troops, of Air Force, of the Navy, of the armed forces, and also in the cyber dimension. And of course, we also have to have a deep look into the focus of our armed forces, and then we have to have a look on the processes, and something that is bluntly said is sometimes a bit boring, but it's very crucial, so that we have a functioning processes, so that we can get all what we need. So this is we started more or less a year ago with the Zeitenwende. We have great support. We have the Sondervermögen, the special fund on the ground. We have the planning process, and we have the first decisions taken by the leaving minister, Christine Lambrecht, and we will have a lot of decisions to take this year. And we need also still the support and decision by the Bundestag. So we have, let's say, we did a great shift. And we have still an ongoing and support by our population, what we do. And we will go on with what we have decided so far.
So as you're saying now, and as you said in the piece that you wrote, Germany is ready. There's both support from policymakers, support from the public. I think the biggest news of the year so far, at least from our vantage point here in DC, is the decision by Germany to provide Ukraine with perhaps Marder infantry fighting vehicles, along with similar contributions from both the French and the Americans. So I don't want to get too bogged down in this next topic, but I have to mention it. The issue of main battle tanks. This has been a topic of discussion for months now in terms of whether Germany will or will not send the Leopard 2 battle tanks to Ukraine, and or at least sign off on third countries sending them. Of course, we have the Ukraine Defense Contact Group in Ramstein Air Base later this week, where we'll get more information on this topic. But what do you think we should be looking out for? How are you thinking about this? Or how is Germany thinking about this, rather?
As Chancellor Scholz said, there are no red lines, but we do everything with transatlantic partnership and coordination. And we do it never alone. And we do it always in coordination with our friends and allies. So if I would have it like this: there are no red lines, as Chancellor Scholz said. But we do what we do always in cooperation and coordination with our friends and allies, and it's always good to do it with the transatlantic partnership.
Absolutely. And I know everyone is going to be looking closely at the outcomes of this meeting, and we're all waiting on bated breath to see what comes of it. So thank you for answering that.
Also, it's something very, very good what we did together as nations and as friends and allies. We have the agreement between our heads of states, between President Biden and Chancellor Scholz on the fighting vehicles. They are in an operative size, and this combined with the French decision, this combined with the British decision will mean a very strong support for Ukraine, and so that we can support them in their fighting against the Russian aggression. So this is something very big and very good, and we did it together with a whole package, not only this deal, but also maintenance. We do the training, we do the exercises so that they know how to maneuver the tanks. And this is something very, very big, something very good. And whatever could come further, we will have most probably tomorrow in the meeting between our ministers, between the secretaries, and Lloyd Austin is here to prepare also Rammstein. So when there's something more thought, then it will be by the decision of those secretaries or the heads of state. We had the call between Biden and Scholz yesterday, I think. And this is also something, this is a value as such, because if we operate together, if we act together as transatlantic partners, this is something, this is also signalizing to Russia that that what they had in mind to have us divided is not working, because we act together and we stand strong together at the side of Ukraine.
Absolutely. And that unity, I think, has lasted for a year now, and it seems like it will continue to last. Broadening the topic just a little bit on European defense issues, you also wrote in your piece that Germany made the decision to purchase the US F-35s at the expense of projects that Germany has with other European allies on joint fighter systems. Can you talk a little bit about Germany's plans for European cooperation on defense issues, especially with the Franco-German relationship that has been under a microscope lately? What does that relationship look like in terms of defense cooperation going forward?
Well, we have the decision in the government that we want to buy for the Bundeswehr more material, and that we need it not in long-term future, but we need it very, very, very quickly. And that is why we don't want to buy, and that we don't want to have very long-lasting projects, but we also want to have a look on the market, what is there, what is already operated by other nations, so that we have interoperability between those nations who already maneuver with these, operate with those systems. This is a very good idea to have also within the NATO nation, within the NATO member countries, better interoperability, not only in terms of how to operate with the system, but also in terms of processes and also in terms of maintenance. And so that we, in the end, we are more effective, we can fight more effectively. This is a decision, but also a decision is that we only can spend €1 once at a time. So whenever we can work together and can develop systems together. In the European context, this is something very good, because it's also related to European security. And that's the second thought, the second guideline. And the third guideline is that for example, we know that we have, in terms of air defense in European soil, we have a shortfall. And that is why Chancellor Scholz also mentioned, or it had this initiative of a European Sky Shield initiative, so-called, so that we can secure the European airspace by Europeans, of course, always integrated in with the Patriot system and NATO planning process. But we know that we as Europeans, we also have to do our homework, and that we also have to take over responsibility for ourselves. So we have three, so to say, we have three ideas, we have three guidelines. We want to have them fast material. We want to do together with European partners when possible. And also we need to close those shortfalls, which we know that are now crucial, and also so that we can guarantee security for our people.
Absolutely. And it seems like those three goals, fast, together with allies, and closing shortfalls, are some of the most important things to look out for. Parliamentary State Secretary Möller, I know you've been very generous with your time with us today, especially, as I said before, during what is, I'm sure, an incredibly busy week for you and the rest of the Defense Ministry. So I wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, and we hope to do it again soon and see you in Washington, hopefully again soon.
See you. All the best.